Welcome everyone to Womanosity for Women with Curiosity. I'm your host, Tadia Rice, on Woman Radio, coming to you every week with remarkable women from around the world who inspire, motivate, and share their stories that are absolutely fantastic. Today is no exception. My guest is from the Republic of Madagascar in the Indian Ocean of East Africa through the Republic of Ghana in West Africa. So how about that? We are joining the forest borders of Africa together in one individual who is an amazing, beautiful artist and leading member of Ghana's foremost spoken word community called EhaLaKasa. Tettey is in the studio with me, and this very busy lady has been shaking up the world with her remarkable slam poetry and her great works. She's a remarkable performance artist, and if you ever have a chance to catch her show called She, you've got to. It's amazing. We're going to talk about it later. She's also been the project coordinator for Buzz Meets Biz, an international exchange program for musicians and music professionals from Germany, Spain, the UK, and Ghana. We're going to hear some of her award-winning work. Oh, I cannot wait. She's the creator of the Exporting Talent Project that provides audiences with an experience sharing session aimed at empowering artists to live and excel outside of their comfort zones. We all have comfort zones, so how do we step out of them and into unknown territory with confidence and creativity? Well, Crystal is going to tell us how. So welcome, Tettey. It is so good to have you in the studio with me.
It's a pleasure, Tadia. And that intro, amazing intro. It makes me feel so welcome. And I'm delighted to be here with you. Thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. You are so welcome. It's wonderful to have you here. It's just a joy for me to be able to talk to artists. Being an artist myself of sorts, it is great to know more about processes that different artists engage and use. You are such a prolific writer, and your slam poetry is so full of an energetic passion and also wisdom. How do you think you developed these remarkable skill sets that have combined with your God-given talents?
I'll take it back to my childhood. And for the most part, I'm still the same way. I was a very reserved, timid child. So I spent a lot of time by myself. And I think many successful creatives are that way as well. The more time you spend in solitude, the more you're able to hone your talent. So my imagination got a lot of fueling, if you will, from the me time. And I think, yes, essentially because I was reserved, I had to create alternate company and realities. And I think that's where it's from.
Interesting that you point that out. You know, we don't think about how our children process information. It's really important that we encourage our children to be expressive because we need to recognize their talents to help develop them. That is amazing. So now let's shift to, you were involved as an adult now in the birth of slam poetry in Africa, across the continent. Tell me more about that. Tell me how you got involved with spoken word and slam poetry and with whom.
Sure, Tadia. So a very good friend of mine, and we've been friends now for, I think, something like 14 years. His name is Kojo Yibo. He started a movement known as EhaLaKasa in Ghana for spoken word poetry and slam poetry, 2007, I believe. And I was, and still am, a leading member of EhaLaKasa. And with EhaLaKasa, we've pretty much done a lot of work virtually and in person with other poets from the continent and also beyond the continent. 2015, 2016, I believe, Sir Black and I were in Denmark with two other poets, one of them from Zimbabwe, and we led workshops and projects. I had an installation, a performance installation throughout Denmark. So that's the extent and magnitude of the work of EhaLaKasa, that my dear friend Sir Black was a co-founder of.
And Sir Black is Ibo Kojo Yibo, who you mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
Now, you are one of the leading members of EhaLaKasa, along with Sir Black. Let's talk about your remarkable show called Shihi. Please tell me more about it. It is very impressive.
Sure, Tadia. Shihi is a project that we developed, Yibo Kojo Yibo and I believe that was 2016. And it's interesting now that we have this conversation about pronouns throughout the world. I'm interested to see, Yibo and I actually, what the reception would be if we would, have a show like that now. But we had a show, a two-person show in 2017, which was all poetry, she, he. So Yibo and I performed back to back for 1 hour. And the focus was poetry and an ability to remove our lens from everything masculine, feminine, or non-binary, but to be more centered on where we can find balance as humanity away from any of those boxes. In some ways also to find the point where we have synergy between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, all of that in poetry.
That is amazing, Crystal. And it's so timely and so important to talk about all of the issues, gender balance and the divine feminine and humanism. We really have to get there everywhere in our world. So now I know that there are a growing number of competitions for slam poetry and spoken word that are across the African continent. And there was an incredible slam poetry competition in Chad and spoken word events in Ghana. Can you tell me a little bit more about your experience with those? And then I want to ask you to share some of your award-winning works with us.
Sure. So with the competition in Chad, I was billed to perform to represent Ghana, but we had issues with funding. And this is one of the issues I'm very passionate about as an artist. I find that arts events the world over are seriously underfunded, and as mobility for artists from Africa in particular is a major challenge. Yeah, so this is one of the key issues to address if we looking forward would want greater participation from artists, all over the world. And that was one of the stumbling blocks, if you will, to my participation in the slam contest in Chad. But in Ghana, I'm very, very delighted that EhaLaKasa does a lot of work organizing slam poetry events and spoken word events as well. Every first Thursday of the month at the National Theatre, there's a spoken word event organized by EhaLaKasa.
Yes, traveling in Africa, flying is particularly expensive. And is there a way people can help the artists to raise money and funds to attend and go to these remarkable competitions?
There's a mobility fund known as Arts Moves Africa. Then there are always individuals who are willing to support certain movements. I think as artists, as we grow within our craft as well, when we have access to resources, we need to make those available, because there are opportunities that have closed doors, if you will, that don't necessarily come to everyone by way of call for applications. And when we see those and we know of talented artists, I think it's our responsibility to share, spread the word, and create avenues for as many artists as possible to share their work globally.
Yes, that's very true. Now, you wrote a remarkable piece called Anyone Can Write Poetry, and we're going to listen to you. But before then, can you just tell us why you wrote it? What inspired that?
So I had a conversation with a friend of mine who is a rapper, actually. And interestingly enough, because there's a thin line between rap and poetry, but interestingly enough, this person at the time didn't value poetry on the same pedestal as he did rap. And he passed this comments about, well, it's one of those things anyone can write. I'm like, we'll see about that. So I put together a piece that's basically showing off my lyrical prowess, if you will, and it's here you go. Let's see if you can write poetry like that as well.
Wonderful. Let's take a listen to Crystal Tettey giving us anyone can write poetry in response to the rapper. Take a listen, folks. Don't go away, though. We've got more.
Anyone can write poetry. Feel free to take a stand. Feel free to speak up about the blood and roses, about the meaningless occupation of Gaza, about the power fluctuations that render the pregnant barren, about the followers of Christianity and Islam who, like NPP and NDC, have forgotten that humanity thrives on one love, who seek the gun and cash in the name of fellowship and holiness. Anyone can write poetry. Anyone can write poetry. Anyone can speak of the clenched fists of the democratic and powerful. Anyone can tell that helium is not to blame for the distorted cries of unemployed youth. Anyone can write about vampire states and the prophecies of doom for taxpayers. Anyone can seek to explain why Mrs. denigrates one created from rib and not dust. Anyone can write poetry. Anyone can write poetry. Speak up, why don't you, about the channels and chains of hatred. Pray do tell about the apocalypse brought on by a fear of diversity. Tell him the Creator did not forget to level our fingers. Tell him the Creator did not forget to create black and white. Tell him the Creator did not intend for us to debate the nationality of divine messengers. Tell him the Creator smiles at the emancipation of women. Anyone can write poetry. Anyone can write poetry. Where planes fly into buildings, where maligners dare judge gays, robbers, and prostitutes, anyone can write poetry. Tell him the Creator did not forget to mark territories between nations. Tell him the Creator did not neglect to add commandments, asking poets and scientists to collaborate, Arabs and Americans to celebrate Hanukkah, Easter, and Ramadan with one another, the reverend to criticize, not conspire with politicians. Anyone can write poetry. Anyone can write poetry. Anyone can separate the truth from mass deception. Anyone can walk away from fraud and violence. Anyone can lend a voice to chivalry and humility. Anyone, from Obama to Sirleaf to Mugabe to Suu Kyi to Fidel to you. Anyone can mend our broken past. Anyone can surprise me. Anyone can write poetry. Beep, beep, beep. Susao, 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 susao. Sex, 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 sex. Today I bought me some wheels. Beep. Judgment yes, inspired by vodka on rocks or in Tampi, I wonder. Fresh. Today I readied myself for the raging war between unkind women and reckless trotters. I became one with the music of deafening horns and blaring announcers. Beep, beep. Today I let go my AD11. Beep. I became one of the privileged to suck in, up close and personal, tons of licensed exhaust fumes and overheating engine gases. I let go my stilettos for the ghetto loafers and psychedelic Tims, pushing past the pedals towards the delusion of a less sweaty sojourn in traffic, punching feverishly at the dial for melody through the clouded reasoning of crazy Accra. Hey, fine girl, drive to car free or beep. I long for the comfort of the passenger seat and freedom from arbitrary overtaking. All this at once breaking. It's taking its greedy toll on my kneecaps. How many years I waited to become a member of the elite league of drivers functioning in abnormality. Fine girl, seduced into camouflage dearth. I remember vaguely the lessons of second settlers. Odd theories and bookish principles are no match for the mechanics of Kokompe or the articulator drivers of Abokobi. Frustrations of fine girl driver in crazy Accra. The glare of highlights is ever so shortly lulled by dreams of a functional CD player to relish Chrisette Michel's "Blame It On Me, Say It's My Fault." Floor mats to steady my feet draw a distinct line across my nerves. Mamasha and Tina too in their never-ending compulsion towards sitting on my gears. The Sprite ad promises freedom from thirst.
Sprite.
I long for the diversion of catcalls against my swaying midriff. Words like carburetor, steering rack, trafficator, backlights, bumper, fender steal their way into my exhausted compendium. Rearview mirror, my daily cue to the horror at my behind, waiting to exhale.
I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it doesn't discourage you from driving in Accra. It takes a while, but you do get the hang of it. So when in Accra, please buy a car, rent a car.
Womanosity is like a good cup of coffee with a new friend, somebody I'd never have a chance to meet. Sometimes it's a new idea or thinking about an old one in a new way. It's girlfriends, it's Tadia, and it's all good. This is American artist, writer, and girlfriend Jenny Cooley in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Ich bin Leila Tavanaro Hedarian aus Wien und höre Woman Radio. Ich lerne so viel Interessantes von den Radiomoderatorinnen und liebe die Musik. Ich freue mich, dass ihr auch Woman Radio hört.
No man is an island. Ladies, let's open up and discuss issues, whether good or bad. Platforms are there. Woman Radio happens to be just one of them. I'm inviting you on the couch to further discuss areas of concern every Thursday from 10 a.m. South African time to 12 noon. On the couch with me, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, here on Woman Radio, well-organized men, for we are.
Meet me at the party on the couch.
Welcome back, everyone. We're in studio with the remarkable spoken word and slam poet heroine, Crystal Tettey in Ghana, in the studio today to talk about her work and everything that she is doing. That is just, it's fantastic. So we're going to talk more. Okay, so Crystal, your work in the larger world. You've traveled probably half of the African continent. You've been to Spain, Austria, France, Germany, the US, and who knows where else, too many to mention. What were those experiences like? What did you learn? What did you determine the world was like?
I think the most interesting aspect of traveling for me is discovering, and I still discover, that we're really all the same. It sounds cliche, but everything changes, but not much changes. You know, the food is probably different, a little less spicy somewhere, more spicy. The climate is more temperate, maybe less. But at the core, we're just, you know, really looking to be loved and to love, you know. And more so when I meet a group of poets. And I mean, I was at Bus Boys and Poets, for example, when I was in Washington, D.C. And I felt right at home. You know, it was a spoken word night. I hadn't planned to perform. A friend of mine pushed me on stage. And it felt just like another EhaLaKasa session. So I think that's my biggest takeaway from traveling wherever, that, you know, we're all just human beings. We really do need to get along and get over our boxes.
It's very, very true. We have far more in common than we have in difference. Now, you're the creator, executive producer, and host of your own podcast called Curating Dreams, a Creatives podcast. You have also in the past facilitated Let's Talk Poetry. That was a literary series that explored experiences of creative people like ourselves. Can you share more about these two wonderful presentations?
Sure. The podcast, Curating Dreams, a creators podcast, was birthed during the pandemic. Like many people, I was watching more content online because of the restrictions. And as I watched the content, I thought to myself, this is something I could do. I've had several conversations with very interesting people that we haven't documented enough. So with a fellow artist, Okyegbe, Omon Blanks, Omoimi, I had a number of conversations, planning sessions, and we thought, it would be great to have a podcast. And the first season had two poets, women. One of them is also a radio TV host. And this second season features my friend and poet that we've spoken about earlier in the show, Yibo Kojo Yibo, as well as an old-time friend of mine known as Dr. Betty Bliaka. And yeah, apart from having, a podcast where that has, the conversations and experiences of people documented, I also thought it was great for creatives in particular to have an outlet. It's not every day you have a nice sit down with contemporaries who are artists. And Let's Talk Poetry was pretty much on the same vibe that I organized at the Goethe Institute in Accra for creatives essentially. And it was held monthly on Friday evenings, I believe. Conversations about poetry, about the arts, about how we can move forward, about lessons learned and avenues for collaboration.
I was so impressed when I learned that you created and curated a series of Special Olympics youth-led interviews. You called them Conversations with My Hero. Now, Special Olympics, I think most people around the world knows what it is, but it encourages opportunities for special needs youth to develop unified leadership, both on and off the field. Now, this is work you do all the time with Special Olympics. Can you share some examples of how this benefited the youth you worked with?
Absolutely. It's work that I'm really passionate about. It's my day job. Special Olympics, I work particularly with the Africa region. And what we encourage is an inclusive world where persons with or without intellectual disabilities are able to work, collaborate, lead. So that manifests practically on the field. We organize events, local, national, regional, international, sports events specifically. I in particular also organize local, national, and regional youth summits. And we have youth from all over the world participate and share experiences, and often as unified pairs. So you could have a pair of a young person who has intellectual disabilities and another who doesn't. And some of the projects they carry out, it could be projects on recycling, taking arts to schools, raising awareness on menstrual hygiene. There's a number of projects that these young people are involved in.
Tell me a little bit more about unified leadership. When you pair the youth together, what's the criteria? What do you hope to see? What's the outcome that is desired?
So there's hesitancy in many parts of the world, in the workplace or in society to associate with, socialize with, work with persons with intellectual disabilities, because there's probably a perception that they would not perform as a person who does not have intellectual disabilities. At the core, what unified leadership and playing unified and living unified looks to do is to show that they're just as talented, even more talented. There are instances where we call them athletes, persons with intellectual disabilities, who have extraordinary skills, for example, at organizing libraries, at running podcasts, at same or even more skill sets than people without intellectual disabilities. So this is to disabuse our preconceived ideas about intellectual disabilities, and also to show that it's perfectly envisageable and doable and livable, a world where we're unified.
Yeah, I think people definitely underestimate the capabilities of especially children, whether they're Down syndrome or whether they're just, intellectual limitations or emotional issues. You'd be surprised at what they can do, huh? I mean, they really are remarkable, and we have to give them every chance to have a normal life so they can
Absolutely.
contribute to society. They're perfectly capable of doing so. Now, aside from Special Olympics, I know you've worked with not only, famous performers doing your shows, but you also are helping develop up and coming talent. So what advice do you give up and coming talent?
I think, especially for writers, poets, performers, really anyone in the creative field, reading is vital. So because I know we get a lot of our information and our inspiration from our environment, that comes naturally to many creatives. But to stay informed, I really think that reading is vital. And also to read the works of other creatives, not just for inspiration, but especially as a person of Black or African descent, I think it's also very important to read the works of other Black or African writers, to know what's been done before, where we can collaborate, to learn more about other parts of the African continent as well. Really, really important. So reading and staying true to your identity. If you're from Ghana or you're from Madagascar, that should reflect in your writing, in your performance, in your style, where exactly you're from. We should know a little more about your home, about your language, about your culture, about what motivates, what drives your people. I think that's relevant. Yeah.
Well, what are you writing now, Crystal? Any songs, poetry, maybe a biography, maybe a novel?
I'm mostly writing poetry and music, and there's a novel I've been sleeping on for about 2 years, that I really need to get more serious on. But as and when the inspiration hits, I write. I try not to go in a specific direction, but let the energy flow, as it will. Yeah.
There's a really lovely song that I like very much that you sing called Flies Wake Up Too Early.
Yes.
Can we take a listen to that now? It's really quite something.
Flies Wake Up Early too is a song I wrote while living in Madagascar, in a town called Ambustra, which is where my maternal grandfather is from. In Ghana, as well as in Madagascar, I noticed that most people wake up early, where early is about 5 a.m. And in that particular town, at that particular moment, I would go for a run in the morning, and then I would notice that there were so many flies. And I was thinking, wow, this is one more reason to wake up early. I mean, we really don't have an excuse. If the flies themselves are up at this hour, then you shouldn't be in bed too long. There's work to be done. Get on with it. So.
Well, that is very interesting. I don't think I would do very well in Madagascar. I like to sleep in. I like my sleep. But let's take a listen. I so enjoy this song. It's called Flies Wake Up Early Too by Crystal Tettey, my wonderful guest for the day. And we'll be right back.
Flies wake up early too. They are up at 4 a.m. just as I am. Flies wake up early too, so they can feed, so they can fly, just as I do. They meander through narrow corridors, narrow walls, just as I do. Flies wake up early too, so they can feed, so they can fly, just as I do. Flies wake up early too. They do, I do, it's how we do in this third world. Flies wake up early too. They do, I do, it's how we do in this third world. Oh, flies wake up, flies wake up, flies wake up early too. Just as I do, just as I do, just as I do, just as I do.
Mna ndingukhwezi futhi ucenenda and ndithanda ukumamela iWomen Radio ndizokufunda izinto ezintsha ndive nomculo omnandi. Iinkqubo zabo zimnandi kwaye zisebenzisa ingqondo. Ukusukela On the Couch to Womanosity, hlala kukho into emnandi yokumamela nemfundiso entsha. Ndithanda kakhulu ukuba ngummameli. Ndiyavuya ukuba nawe umamele.
It's really a delight to be a part of Women Radio, to have the opportunity to learn and to meet so many distinguished women from literally around the world who share their life experiences, their joys, in such a wonderful program to the women of the world, not just here, but women of the world. Thank you, Women Radio. This is Sandra Sims speaking from Honolulu, Hawaii. Aloha and mahalo.
those dreams we sold for cheap. Tell me it was worth it, that she cannot live in peace. There she goes, there she goes, the girl with a broken heart. There she goes, there she goes, the girl who could just not smile. There she goes, there she goes, the girl with a broken heart. There she goes, there she goes, the girl who could just not smile. After the war, you fed her rations for meals, expected her mind to grow. So who could blame her for turning so cold? There she goes, there she goes, the girl with a broken heart. There she goes, there she goes, the girl who could just not smile. There she goes, there she goes, the girl with a broken heart. There she goes, there she goes, the girl who could just not smile. I can tell you today, they were not for real. Good with a big talk and cash.
We're coming down to the end of our session with the remarkable Crystal Tettey in Ghana, who is a spoken word poet, slam poet, expert in writing, a songwriter, a singer, and just a wonderful all-around humanitarian. So I want to ask you, Crystal, because you are so many talented things, how would you describe the way you walk in the world?
Wow. I try to be as true to who I am at the core as possible. And at the core, I'm an artist. So I try to create work and share work that is most representative of who I am. I also try to create work that inspires the world to move in a direction of less, we spoke about this earlier, fewer boxes, that makes us look more at what connects us rather than what separates us. Yeah, as authentically, as honestly as possible. And it seems easy, it seems cliche, but in a world where, you know, especially as we saw with the COVID pandemic, there's so much dishonesty. There's a lack of, you know, information for all. You know, access to resources is not the same for everyone in different parts of the world. Yeah, so it's not a given, and that's the work I'm trying to do while passing through this earth.
Well, you walk in the world in a very lovely way, and you have walked around the world in many countries. We've gone all over the world. So what would you tell your younger self about love and life and purpose? What would you tell the 15-year-old Crystal?
Okay, we're talking love. So I've had romantic relationships where, and really relationships in general, where I have struggled between what I know to be true from my inner voice and what I'm hearing from human beings or what seems to be manifesting. And that, for many creatives, can cause some kind of conflict psychologically, emotionally, where we start wondering if we're losing our minds. And as I, you know, advance in age, I'm learning to trust that inner voice and know that I'm not mad, even when information presented in books or elsewhere or what I'm told contradicts what my inner voice says to me. I'm learning to trust that that is the most reliable source of information, your intuition, your sixth sense, whatever you want to call it, and go by it. And especially in love, to follow my heart and what, you know, what it tells me and go there. So I'll tell my younger self to listen, and you're not losing your mind. You're not imagining things. Just believe in that inner voice and follow your heart.
What would you say is your biggest achievement to date?
I think that's your.
I mean, you're so young. I almost don't want to ask you that because you're so young.
I think that's the most difficult question ever, and in part because I really have always struggled with patting myself on the back. I always feel like there's no destination, and the minute we start to over celebrate, we get complacent, we get mediocre, and I think it's something to work through as well, because we need to also celebrate toasts to milestones, and there've been a number in my life. I think I would say my happiest, proudest moments, continuous as well, ongoing, is being a mother, because when I was younger, I was so scared of that responsibility of bringing another human being, of being their biggest source of information, inspiration, love, and what comes with that. And I think that having a model as my mother helped. And I think I'm happy with how my daughter is becoming such an amazingly loving, joyful, giving human being. I'd like to take some credit for it. So I think that's my proudest moment.
How old is your daughter?
She's 7.
7. Oh, what a wonderful age. They ask such interesting questions and they're just so inquisitive. Oh, congratulations. I know you're a wonderful mother, and I know she's writing poetry already. That is just so great. I just don't know what to tell you. Oh my goodness, Crystal, do you hear that music?
I do. I absolutely do. This is my favorite part of your show.
Oh, you know what's coming then. So you know it's the Womanosity 25 questions in 2 minutes speed round. Okay, you think you can handle this?
I think I can. Let's go for it.
Okay. What color or flavor is your favorite, M&M or candy?
Neither. Can I do neither?
Yes, you can do neither. Okay, then. Are you a cat or a dog person?
Absolutely a cat person. I have 3 at the moment. Oh, 1 just passed, so 2. And then something amazing happens. All the cats in the neighborhood come to our home to eat. So that's lovely.
So, well, now how about, would you rather eat chocolate or watch your favorite TV show or film?
I would rather watch my favorite TV show.
What's one city or country you've always dreamed of traveling to?
I am looking forward to a trip in July to Sao Tome and Principe. It's not far from Ghana, but I haven't been. It's an island as well. So I am tempted to believe there are similarities with Madagascar. Very interesting to see what that would be like.
Well, I don't think it's going to be as warm as the Indian Ocean is, which I love. You're on the Atlantic, so I hope it's not too cold. Are you a morning or night person?
A very morning person because the day wears me out.
So what words do you live by, Crystal?
Love, honesty, mindfulness.
Oh, nice. What's one vice you wish you could give up?
Carrying too much too long emotionally. I wish I could just wake up the next morning and forget that something really hit me hard and move on.
Mm-hmm. What's the best compliment you've ever received?
Someone I love and appreciate, adore, recently called me their safe space. I thought that was huge, especially coming from, he's usually very defensive, very aloof. And in this whole world, if he thought of me as a safe space, I find that's a huge compliment. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. So when are you the most inspired?
When I'm in nature and by myself. Mountain, greenery, by the water, with animals. Yeah.
Nice. Food, sweet or savory?
Savory.
What makes you smile the most?
At the moment, my daughter.
What's the one thing people don't know about you?
I talk a lot. I'm usually quiet and reserved, but when the right buttons are pushed, geez, you'll struggle. You'll struggle to get me to stop talking.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay, heels or flats or sneakers?
Oh, flats any day. Flat shoes or sneakers. I like to walk quickly and move fast.
What's inspiring you in life right now?
The pandemic is inspiring me. I mean, it feels like we're at the end and things are going back to normal. But that moment of insanity, these 3 years of insanity and all that it was able to disrupt is a big inspiration. And I'm trying hard to tap more into my inner zen, if you will, zenitude, so that nothing will ever disrupt it, pandemic or not, whether the world stops moving, whether there are enough finances coming in, whether there are enough collaborators or not. I'm able to keep moving and keep working and stay motivated. Yeah.
Wonderful. What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done in your life?
So in 2012, I'd lived in Ghana most of my life, and I just sold my car, computer, possessions, packed 1 suitcase, and decided to move to Madagascar without any indication of how I was going to earn income. I didn't know any networks. I had family members clearly, but to just start life from zero, if you will, that was adventurous. It was fun, and it was worth it. Totally worth it.
So how would you define yourself in 3 words?
Loving, courageous, creative.
Diamonds or pearls?
Diamonds, if they come from a clean source. Yes,
Oh.
diamonds.
I agree with you. What's something you notice about someone when you first meet them?
Their eyes. And I learn a lot, especially from people's eyes. I love looking at eyes. Yeah.
What's the one talent you wish you had?
Fly, I guess, as in without a plane.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you want wings?
Maybe
Okay.
I just need a broom. Badger.
So what's your favorite color?
Green. Favorite color is green.
And what color of clothing do you wear the most?
Bright colors because I have mood swings.
What's the cutest thing on planet Earth?
My daughter.
What's
I
the
think that's the
best
most
thing?
perfect thing. Yeah.
What's the best thing that's happened to you this year?
The best thing that's happened to me this year is putting out an EP, Ati Antanandrazana Veau, which translates from Malagasy as Am I Home Yet? It's a 3-track project because there's poetry and there's music on it. You should listen to it if you can. I mean, not you, Tadia, as in our audience.
No, I will. I will. I love listening to your stuff. So what is your favorite song right now?
My favorite song right now is Velu Manamako off the EP I just mentioned. And it's a song that's originally by Jerome Randrea, Malagasy, and that we redid for this project. So I'm singing on this song with my mother.
And this is a Malagasy folk song, huh?
It is, absolutely is.
Wonderful. Let's take a listen to Veloma Namako, a beautiful Malagasy folk song with Crystal Tettey and her mother. And your mother's name is?
My mother's name is Lise Rasulunzana Hari Ranaivu. Enjoy.
Marainau andau zanilasi Velu Manamako. Salut la compagnie Refariba tuizau Ramatia royana reu Miaraha manandrapeu Kaluizau irizau La 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 Velu Manamako. Salut la compagnie Matia nandalananyau andefasu vunikiazu Velu Manamako. Salut la compagnie
Refa tuizau Ramatia royana reu Miharaha manandrapeu Kaliuza wirizau
La 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 Velu Manamako. Salut la compagnie Ramiri nanitauna manatenau bulayauna Velu Manamako. Salut la compagnie
Oh, that was wonderful, Crystal. That's beautiful. Tell your mother I love her voice. I don't know what she said exactly, but I got the point. I want to thank you so much. My goodness, Crystal Tettey, you are amazing. Thank you for being with me today on Woman Radio. From Womanosity for Women with Curiosity is made for women like you. My gosh, you are just, curiosity drove you as that quiet little girl, and look at you now.
Thank you, Tadia. The pleasure is all mine. I'm really delighted to have spent 1 hour with you in conversation. I didn't even notice the time flying by. Really, literally, it's been very effortless. I love your energy, and I love all of the time, effort you're investing in amplifying other women. It's very selfless, and it's a beautiful, beautiful project. I wish you all the best on, and I hope we have many other conversations off and online.
I may just bug you and do that. You'll say, leave me alone. But thank you, Crystal Tettey. Okay, everyone, thank you for being with me this week with my remarkable and wonderful guest, Crystal Tettey in Ghana. Do check her out. Her work is exceptional. Thank you for being with me today on Womanosity for Women with Curiosity, broadcasting globally on Woman Radio. We'll great interviews with remarkable women and music from around the world. Join me, won't you? Thank you for being with me today on Womanosity for Women with Curiosity,